Hello, I'm Dave Munro, and this is the story of Truistic's Beer Bread Bakery. You can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or by email. You can also give us a call at 705-220-0747, and I'd love to chat. Truistic's Beer Bread Bakery crafts delicious beer breads using craft brewed beers, ales, and meads that will tantalize the taste buds. There's more than one target market for Truistic's beer breads. The main ones are millennials, craft beer lovers, and foodies. A large segment of millennials will identify themselves as either foodies or craft beer drinkers, or both. Foodies and craft beer lovers transcend almost all market segments and age groups. Millennials, foodies, and craft beer lovers have some common marketing traits. They like unique taste experiences and willingly share good tasting experiences with friends, family, and online. They prefer locally produced and grown foods. They're willing to pay more for organic and quality. Millennials are socially conscious and care. If they find a company who are socially aware, they're more likely to be repeat customers. Some market notes. Specialty foods can vary by definition, so it's difficult to measure. The National Association for the Specialty Food Trade defines specialty foods as foods and beverages that exemplify quality and innovation, including artisanal, natural, and local products that are often made by small manufacturers, artisans, and entrepreneurs. Statistics Canada agrees the specialty food sector is a growing sector that, with the effects of millennials, will continue to grow. According to Wikipedia, the craft beer phenomena accounts for a 10% share of the Canadian beer market. In 2006, there were 88 craft brewers in Canada, and in 2015, there were over 500. There are now over 400 in Ontario alone. Craft brewers everywhere are brewing some world-class beers, ales, groots, and meads. They're adding interesting fruits and other tastes like coffee, or one of my favorites, green apple. Food is an important part of a traveler's journey. If the food isn't up to scratch, it can ruin a person's vacation. Our breads can help craft brewers promote their excellent ales to tourist destinations everywhere. In 2002, a report commissioned by the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Food, along with the City of Toronto Economics Department, was published titled Food Industry Outlook. It stated the food processing sector was the second largest food cluster in North America and was worth $15 billion. It took time, but finally, in 2015, FoodStarter was launched with the support of all levels of government. FoodStarter is a not-for-profit organization that provides everything a food entrepreneur needs to bring a new concept or expanded product line to fruition. They not only have commercial kitchen space, but many industry experts to provide mentorship. There's a lot of regulations food vendors shall abide by. There's federal regulations like food labeling, nutrition labeling, and ensuring the public purchases safe foods. There's provincial regulations set out by OMAFRA, who oversee manufacturing and traceability. Municipalities make sure commercial kitchens are clean and inspected regularly, as well as ensuring everyone working there has successfully completed a food handling course. The best way for Truistic's Beer Bread Bakery to get these taste experiences into your mouths is by completing the FoodStarter commercialization programs. FoodStarter is located at the foot of Highway 400 in Toronto. They provide a launch pad for discovery, creation, and success. They're a food startup not-for-profit who have a stable of mentors and food scientists that are there to help me scale up recipes and learn the proper techniques to produce my doughs and breads. They have a bakery-specific commercial kitchen I'll need to produce small batches of my breads and the packaging equipment. As well, they have incubation space for storage. This will allow me to gain traction and to start to grow. Their programs involve a feasibility boot camp, and food commercialization program that covers everything involved in getting food products to the shelves. Altruistic's Beer Bread Bakery believes that along with fresh baked breads, frozen breads and pizza doughs will be an excellent revenue stream. Foodstarter has the resources to see this through as well. Funds raised through generous supporters will be used to complete the Foodstarter programs and other business mentoring programs like Grow Vantage in Barrie. It'll be used for pilot production runs of 3 breads, including all the ingredients and packaging. It will allow us to do 3 or 4 full production runs of the breads. While enrolled at Foodstarter, we'll engage suppliers and distribution hubs for the most local ingredients we can get. We'll engage local brewers where initial marketing begins to obtain licensee pricing for use of their beers and work on labeling agreements with them to help reduce costs. We'll court specialty food shops for indirect sales and other markets for direct-to-customer sales. I'll also need a small stipend so I can live and pay bills. I used to use a nickname years ago, Altruistic. I've led an altruistic life, volunteering countless hours at board meetings, events, and functions, and a lot at a high level. I took part in the small study that, after being presented to Parliament, led to the first compassionate care legislation we have through employment insurance. I also have over 100 whole blood donations under my belt to date. I sat on the board of directors of a grassroots organization, Ontario Parents Advocating for Children with Cancer, and was the founding chair when they became a provincial charity. I sat in that role for the better part of 10 years, and although still a passionate crusader, some of the fire has dimmed, and it was time for others to step up. I'm happy to say they have. An important lesson I learned in that role was that charities are businesses, not for profit, but still a business. Grassroots charity like OPAC struggle with their budgets, knowing that only a small percentage of money they receive can go towards administration. The goal of Altruistic's Beer Bread Bakery is to sponsor the administrative role at OPAC and its budget. This will allow them to use 100% of the money they raise for the vital programs they provide their fragile families. As mentioned earlier, millennials care about a lot of things. They care about their friends, they care about the food they eat, they care about the environment, and they're willing to share their pleasant and unpleasant experiences through social media. They tend to eat and share with friends. Their social awareness influences their spending habits. They like it when businesses give back to social causes. They're more likely to keep this in mind and will spend more with businesses who care and give back. As the slide points out, many millennials are young couples just starting out. Some of them have small children. Sadly, some of those young families will hear the words I heard a little more than 20 years ago. Your child has cancer. I know how it feels to be in a huge city hospital, yet feel like you're the only person on earth. I learned the value of peer support through all those years. Millennials tend to gather in groups and eat and hang out. They already use a loosely defined peer support network. Through the parent support group in my community, Candlelight or Simcoe, I've seen this group grow to be a very dynamic and very supportive because of the millennials. Groups like this one are one of OPAC's objectives to establish across the province. It's a cause that millennials can embrace. Numbers suggest that 1 in 500 could be a childhood cancer survivor themselves. OPAC can help these families as their primary goal is peer support. They know firsthand what it's like to hear those words and feel so all alone. They currently have 1 full-time and 1 half-time parent liaison at Sick Kids in Toronto and have been involved in getting community-based support groups like Candlelight or Simcoe established in other areas of the province. Funding is always their biggest concern. Here's a list of the breads I've crafted so far and some I've been working on. I have a hard time picking out my favorite, but the oatmeal stout bread was adapted from my grandmother's oatmeal molasses bread. I've also crafted some interesting signature sandwiches to go along with a few of the breads. I started experimenting with beer breads a few years ago when I found my mom's old bread machine and the oatmeal molasses recipe I'd adapted for her years before. I remembered in my 20s I'd tasted a friend's beer bread that was delicious. She wouldn't give up the recipe back then, and time went by. I went on a mission to create the ultimate beer bread. The first two breads that were marketable were a green apple pilsner bread, made with green apple pilsner, and an oatmeal stout bread. I'll start by enlisting 3 brewers to supply beer and sell fresh and frozen loaves to their customers as one indirect sales stream. Another indirect revenue stream will be through specialty food shops. Our primary direct sales stream will come from setting up booths at markets and shows. Millennials are connected and live. Social media pulses in their veins. We will connect through social media to get our business in front of our local audience with things like Facebook ads and other social media platforms. Forecasts. There's a lot of things to consider when working on forecasting a food business. Not having a particular business background, I'll need the knowledge I gain from the folks at FoodStarter in order to gain credible information to work with. Through my own small beta testing and speaking with potential vendors, I've been told that 20 to 25 loaves per week could be sold per outlet. Monetary forecasts are dependent on pricing of ingredients. Again, FoodStarter will teach me how I can deal with suppliers to get the best prices and keep costs down. Once the FoodStarter programs are complete and we're using their spaces as an incubator to grow sales through the direct and indirect sales previously mentioned, I plan to open a bakery in Barrie with a sandwich shop as a possibility. This would be done to showcase potential franchising opportunities, especially to craft brewers. Imagine stopping by your local brewery to pick up some beer when, walking in, you smell something delicious. I'm sure you'd be inclined to ask, what smells so good? I'm just as sure you'd walk out with not only the beer, but at least one loaf of bread. It's been suggested by Fresh Spoke that it would take about $30,000 to get a new food product to market using the FoodStarter model. I'd like to raise $30,000 to $50,000 in order to get things off the ground with pilot runs and to start production and begin generating revenues. Thank you for watching. Links can be found on the page beneath the video. There's links to research, social media, and other contact information. I hope you found this interesting and can support my efforts to get altruistic spear breads to market. Cheers!